Welcome to my video review of the Sony HVL-F20M flash gun or speedlight. This is the entry level model in Sony's flashes, and as such is the smallest and the least powerful, but that might have a few advantages in other ways. Now, I've listed out some of the main features here, including the size and the power. Bear in mind that the power will vary depending on the focal length, and that's the same for all flash guns. When you see these guide number sort of 60s and 58 units, they're taking the telephoto guide number settings rather than wide angle. That gives you a rough idea of the cycle power times as well. Now, included with this was a small drawstring bag, but I've replaced it with something a bit more substantial. This is a Kata bag which I got just specifically for the flash. That's the model number, so if you want a bag that's going to fit the flash perfectly, this is discontinued, but you might be able to get hold of one or something similar. I find it quite handy because you can fit extra cells in the case, and also I can attach that to a belt as well, so it's quite a handy little case to have. Now, looking at the flash, we take off the hot shoe cover, which is also included, and looking at the front of the flash, you'll see there is a silicone strip here. That was originally designed for the A900 DSLR with the F20M, which is identical to this flash, apart from the inverted hot shoe, that is. Now, you flip open the cover and you have the battery compartment here. Now, try and use good cells with these so you get the best battery life. These are Sony cells for this flash, which I bought, rechargeables. You can see the battery markings on the side. Looking at the back, this gives you the specification. You'll see a date of manufacture too. Now, if you flip the bottom part down, you'll see that it turns on, and that green light turns to red if the battery power is low on the flash and you have a charging indicator light. Side view showing you the flipping up position when it's on and when it's off. Now, this has a standard screw thread lock to put it down onto the hot shoe, lock it onto the hot shoe properly. It doesn't have a quick lock mechanism. On the side you have the two positions, the direct and bounce. Up for bounce, and I'll show you the front. You can see that the flash head is flipping up and coming down to the forward position. On the right side at the top you'll see a tele and wide. The wider part of that, when it's forward, means that it's got the diffuser pointing forward. It's either forward or retracted. It's no in between, and that means that it's wide angle. So that would give you equivalent around 27mm or 18mm on APS-C. Now, if you don't have a multi-interface hot shoe on the camera using one of the older Minolta style ones, you can get the ADP AMA multi-interface to ISO shoe adapter, and that will work perfectly on all of those flashes, and I've tested this on even Dynax 5Ds and older cameras. It works perfectly with that. So you can screw down onto the adapter, and that also has a quick lock, quick release mechanism on it as well. Now, mounted on the camera, you'll see the flash here in the down position. It's off. This is on one of the SLT cameras, and when it's up, it's on. You'll see there's a good distance between the lens and the flash, so red eye isn't going to be a problem with this flash gun at all. This will also work on other cameras like Cybershot, the RX cameras, anything with a multi-interface shoe, or even the older ISO shoe, the Minolta style shoe with the adapter. Now, the flash modes are standard on this, but you have the exception. You have wireless flash as well. This can act as a controller for a wireless as a master flash. And here I have a slave flash, not just Sony flashes, any third-party flash that will work as a TTL optical slave will work with this flash. Now, you don't have the advanced settings that you have with a higher end flash on the camera, in other words the groups, etc., but still you can use it for that purpose. If you don't have a built-in flash, that's quite useful, or if you need a bit more power. Exposures were good on the flash. I didn't have to make too many adjustments, mostly on target. This will show you the recycle times. Now, they can be slightly longer than the official specs say, up to around 5 or 6 seconds at full power. It depends on the battery condition too. So I'm not unhappy with the recycle times. Actually slightly better than some of the other compact flashes I've used from different makers, but that's at full power, and you're likely to encounter that more when you're bouncing the flash. Just a look at the top here to show you. Now, because there are no physical controls on the flash, you will have to go into the camera and set flash exposure compensation yourself, if you can do that on your particular camera. On most of them you should be able to. That is a limitation of the flash, that you can't actually adjust anything on the flash. It's pretty much full auto. You can still go into manual mode on the camera and adjust the shutter speed and aperture and things like that, but you'll have to adjust the flash compensation to affect the output. Now, do note that the flash sync will be limited to the camera. There's no high speed sync with this flash. There probably isn't enough power to do that. In this case, I have 250th of a second flash sync. This is an A77. Other models might be a bit lower too. Now, if you're outside using for field flash, you'll have to either stop the aperture down or bring the ISO level down, or possibly you can use an neutral density filter to bring that down. It's not a huge problem. It's not something I'd expect on a flash of this type, because it doesn't really have the power to use high speed sync that the bigger units have. My overall thoughts with the Sony flash are that I quite like the flash unit. I see it as a useful flash depending on what you want to do with it. There are some obvious limitations and there are a couple of obvious advantages. It's a very small flash. You can literally put this in your pocket. It's not going to take up any space, and you're going to get a nice boost in power compared to the onboard flash. But as you can see here, with a full-size flash, it's not going to have the full functionality of these units. It's not going to have the higher spec and higher power output. On the other hand, as an extra flash, or if you're someone who uses a mirrorless camera or one of the Cybershots or a smaller camera, it's quite a nice little flash to have. You can't bounce with the onboard flash, and you can with this. The major disadvantage is that there isn't a swivel function, so you can't really do anything with the vertical shooting unless you get called to put the flash off camera. That's something I'd like to see changed. I'd also would have liked to perhaps had a built-in AF assist or even an LED lamp. Now, there are no controls on the flash, and I can understand that they want to keep it simple, so you don't have any manual mode on this flash. You don't have a manual output. You can't set it to that. The flash that I have here is a METS next to it. You can, on that flash, you have exposure compensation on the flash as well, flash bracketing. You have quite a lot of additional features on that flash, so it is quite a simple flash in a lot of ways. On the other hand, I do think it's quite a nice extra flash. I sometimes take this out if I know that I'm going to need a flash and I want something that's going to be fairly decent and I don't want to take much with me. So overall, I'm going to give the Sony about a 7 out of 10. I think it's a nice flash. Just bear in mind what the limitations with the unit are.